My name's Aaron Martineau, chairperson of the Selkirk and District Community Foundation. This year we gave out 84 grants totaling $415,000, with some of those grants being given to organizations in the Selkirk, St. Andrews, and St. Clements area that promote inclusive community. During the COVID-19 pandemic, most businesses had to shut its doors for the safety of the community. While this was a reality everyone had to deal with, it was especially hard on the organizations that provide a service to make our community more inclusive. While we wish we could have talked with everyone, we did sit down with 4 organizations to talk about the challenges they faced this year, how they came out of it, and how important it is that we keep funding inclusive programs that help those that need a little bit of help in our community.
Why is it important to fund resources and outlets like this, funding stuff for the underfunded and for people that wouldn't typically have these resources available? So people across Canada should really focus on funding these inclusivity projects to make sure everyone has a chance to do whatever they need to do, right?
I think inclusiveness looks differently from every environment. It gives opportunity to be able to provide inclusiveness in all different areas. I guess if you don't have the granting opportunity, they could be biased on what inclusiveness means. And having a grant allows the community to see how different pockets are applying for support. If it's a business model, it'll become about numbers.
And it's hard because a lot of people want to fund things that are going to see almost like a monetary win, I guess you could say it like that. Like there's no way that you could judge that here. The things that you guys do better the lives of people. That's more than any dollar amount you could ever put on anything, right?
I believe the best assets we have in Selkirk are its people. When we invest in its citizens and all their people and making sure that people can bring their full self to the community, that they can access as much of those resources as they need, I feel like then we really build not only an inclusive community, but the best community that Selkirk can be. When we intervene early and we're not doing damage control as much, for example, if we can provide education and access to resources early on, we have much better chance of a good outcome and a respectful and dignified one as well too, where someone feels like they can participate in the community.
Showing happiness is a lot harder to show than an ROI, right? You know day to day that this is helping the lives of people in some shape, way, or form.
I would think that funding is funding, and even if they're willing to meet basic needs, there's really no room for creativity and innovation for things. Like some of the most cost-effective things that we've implemented, they wouldn't look at because they didn't have a category for that. Like I said, for our dog program has been very innovative for the growth of our program, but it's not something you can go and say, well, fund us for dogs. And they go, well, kind of no.
With our residents at SMHC who have Alzheimer's and dementia or whatever mental health challenge, you feel like there's somebody there playing for you. We have a lot of clients who sometimes don't remember their own names, but they remember the musician. And they're like, whoa, you're here to play for me. And that's the value. It's what you give back to them.
All 4 of you, it's all different, very different ways of looking at inclusivity. And for a lot of people, it means wheelchair accessible sidewalks. It means handy ramps. What does it mean to you to have an inclusive community?
In the education system, inclusive community is when all students and even our staff, all their needs are being met, and being able to work together, play together, learn together, celebrating who we are and how we're all unique.
Inclusivity, I think, means that we recognize that we all have different needs and being okay with that. It's okay if someone has a different need than someone else. We need to figure out a way as to how we best support each other and play into each other's strengths. And so when we start looking at each other from a strength-based perspective and how we can empower each other, I think that naturally brings inclusivity into our community.
One of the people I'm hiding from here is my daughter Eden. She was in the special needs program in Stonewall. She goes to the AIR Center in Stonewall. But when I started in this career, it's to make the kind of world and the acceptance and the inclusion that I would want for her. I fight to maintain having people treated as people and treated as equals in the community. I'm old enough to remember in my small town where those people walked around town in a gang with their workers, and that's the only contact we had with them. They weren't even in the high school. And to walk around right now with my daughters like walking around with a rock star, so because everyone stops her and has to chat and all this kind of stuff. So I can see both worlds, and what I wanted to make sure is that when I leave, that it's better than we had it before.
Inclusive community means that individuals who maybe are underserved or for whatever reason are not living typical lives can be included and have fuller and richer lives. There was a woman who had such terrifying agoraphobia, she couldn't attend any meetings. She walked through this whole process in the project and eventually joined a group of 70 people in a room and stood up. And she stood up and she talked about how this had made her feel welcome. It just gave her a way in to be normal, whatever normal is, to be part of a group that was there to include her. It's kind of like offering a little bit more family to everybody. So it's not nuts and bolts. It's we care about you and we want to see you enjoy your life and be happy and be supported.